Okay, I promise you I won't bore y'all as much now. So I'm almost done. Just want to get my truth out there and my experience about working for the company. So going back to me, so I was diagnosed a while back with ADHD and anxiety disorder. So yeah, I get anxious, and I also, it takes me a little bit while to focus, and I get distracted easily. I take medication to stay focused, working on schoolwork and all that stuff. But because I take my medication for the ADHD, I can't really take any medication for anxiety disorder. Something about not combining medicines, and I'm not sure too much about that. But so I just kind of like have found my own ways of controlling my own anxiety disorder. So people with disability, physical, mental disabilities, they have barriers. If it's a physical disability, it's going to be a physical barrier that they're going to be having. If it's a mental disability, there's barriers that some people don't understand unless you've been in these people's shoes. And that's one of the things that I don't think companies don't teach their managements or managers about trying to understand a person with disabilities, physical or mental, because you don't understand what these type of what these people have, or what they go through, and what kind of barriers they always have to go through every day, or they have to overcome. And it's not easy. And so one of my problems was trying to get to work on time, and it was one of my barriers, because every morning I would wake up and I would get so distracted. It was like in my head there was like a run-on sentences of all these different things that were going on in my life, and I would be like, oh, let me do this, oh, let me do that, going back and forth. So it was, it's always, my mornings are pretty hectic sometimes. So it was always, showing up on time to work. But I got written up the first time, and so when I saw that, I was like, wow, I think I should really start mentioning to this manager what I have in my situation, and hopefully she can kind of help me out or anything like that. Sorry for the barking, it's my dog. He is sometimes very talkative when he sees me standing up because he thinks we're going to go outside. So yeah, going back to the thing. So I decided to kind of tell my manager that, hey, I have this. This is going on in my life. I have barriers, so I'm going to need either, seek some accommodations or something like that. And she was like, well, I don't do any of that stuff. You have to call HR. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll call HR. So I didn't see that the manager was willing to work with me at all with it. So I was like, okay, let me call HR. So I called HR, and I talked to him, told him what I have, and I asked, I'm wondering if I can get any accommodations, reasonable accommodations. That's it. That's all I asked for. Plain and simple, they said they don't do accommodations for anyone who has a mental disability. The only accommodations they give is physical disabilities. I was like, wait, what? Physical disabilities, yes, they need accommodations sometimes. They do actually, but also people with mental disabilities too, they need accommodations as well. But they didn't. The only thing they offered me was FMLA. And I was just, just give me whatever you can offer me. And the FMLA they gave me, I had to go to my doctor. The doctor had to sign this, had to write a whole thing about what's going on in my life and how they're helping me out and all that stuff, and what barriers I kind of have with it. And so what they did was that they approved me for the FMLA, but the only thing it helped out was that I could be tardy every 3 months, just in case if I'm ever going to the doctor, because I need to get reevaluated about my situation. Because every 3 to 6 months I have to go back to get reevaluated. Make sure the medicines and me are working well properly. So it and it gave me job protection, but it was only for that. It didn't work for anything else. Just for me seeing a doctor, getting medication, prescriptions, and all that stuff. wasn't help at all. So going back to work, it was, I used some, to me, I think I did bad to opening up about the disabilities that I have, saying about my barriers, because I kind of felt that it was going to be used, I felt that it was going to be used against me, pretty much. And so I should have stopped myself. Now that I realize it, I should have stopped myself and just did something else in order to not have myself open. And, you know, something that I always remember my dad telling me is, and other people tell me too, is that you need to watch your back sometimes, especially when you're at work, because some people won't like you. And so that's what I didn't do. I wasn't watching my back. So I kind of exposed my weaknesses out there. So I just kept getting written up and written up and written up. And I was like, wow, I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm a hard worker. I'm making my numbers and all that stuff. Yeah, there is no excuse to being late. I truly understand that. But there's also should be reasonable accommodations for someone with mental disabilities. You can give them to you can give accommodations for a person with physical, but you should also give accommodations for someone with mental disabilities. It will kind of reasonable accommodations too, just to help them out too. And that's one of the things that I learned is in research that has been done is that a person with ADHD has the one who is mainly fired more often than a person with no disability at all, because either it's time management, tardies, focusing, and different other barriers that we go through. So I was trying to figure out how or why was it that I was the only one getting written up, but no one else. Like my coworker, she either did no call, no shows. My manager actually had to go to her apartment to figure out what was going on. And she found out that she overdosed on sleeping pills. Or she called in a lot. Or she was usually tardy too. And she left early. I was like, whoa. And I'm over here staying. Sometimes when I was supposed to leave early, I had to stay extra because this person was leaving early. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess, guys, I'm staying here today. And this was usually a constant thing. But it's not my part to go expose that to anyone because I didn't want any drama happening. I was like, no, I'm avoiding drama. I'm not going to say anything. And some of the other things was that, you know, it was harder for her to get to her numbers. So because I was meeting my numbers, my manager would usually kind of ask me, hey, you think you can kind of help her out, you know, give some of yours, any solutions that you find, you think you can kind of like lend them over to your coworker, that way I can get my bonus. That was mainly her objective, is that she needed both me and her to make our numbers, that way she can get her bonus. If she didn't make her numbers, but I did, the manager wouldn't get her bonus. So that was mainly like she wanted her bonus. So it just kind of was like, I just told her, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I worked hard for my stuff. I made bonds, relationships with most of my customers. I am not just going to hand my stuff over to someone else. So I didn't like that. And so not only that, a lot of the other tellers too were usually showing up late to work. And none of them, what I saw, were not being written up at all. Yeah, maybe they were told, hey, you shouldn't do that. You need to get here on time. That's it. Me, no. I was like, at the end of the day, here, you need to sign this because you've been targeted this many times. But it wasn't consecutive. It was like on a monthly. It was rather like extenuating circumstances too, and So I just kind of saw that I was like, I think this is not right at all. So I did a little bit of investigation, and I kind of found out that the telemanager, who used to be my manager at my old location, was when either my manager was out for the day, out for the week, or out on meetings, he would be the manager for that time frame. Well, every time that I was either late or, all this other stuff, he would report it. Just me, though. Didn't report anyone else. Didn't report anything like that. Didn't report himself for having a 2-3 hour lunches and leaving us behind. And I had to basically be there to make sure that the bank is running smoothly. It's never fun. No, and usually both managers did that. 2-3 hour lunches. Like, really? Ridiculously? You need that long time for lunch? You can go out after work to go have lunch with or dinner with them. Take all the time you want. But really, during a business time frame, come on now, guys. So I kind of saw that and I was like, I feel like someone's retaliating against me. As the other coworkers, they were showing up late or they weren't coming back on time from lunch and all this stuff. And so I felt like retaliation against me. And then June 1st, I basically was giving, the end of the day after my shift, I brought in so many good sales for that day to start the new quarter. Basically, I was given a letter stating, hey, we're going to let you go. Sign here. So I was kind of pissed off at that moment. I didn't want to say a thing. I was just agreeing with everything what they were saying. But one of the things that what I realized and that what the management never did was that my manager never went out to try to see what was going on, try to understand what I go through, or anything like that. So it was kind of difficult, to say anything else. And they asked me if I had any questions. I was like, no questions. Just left and turned in my keys. I'm like, okay, here you go. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing that these people were basically doing like high school drama, saying something to one person and then, hey, reporting it. That's it. Management never took the time, instead of reporting it, took the time to actually talk to the employee to try to see what's going on, figuring out different methods, working with you, and trying to help you out. That's what a manager should do. But I never felt any of that was happening. And so, and when I signed that paper, she gave me a hug and she said, oh, I'm sorry, and I really enjoyed working with you, and I really do thank you for all your hard work that you've given for the company, for bringing this branch to where it's at right now, this and that. But I felt that wasn't really sincere at all. So it was like, I was just in my head. I was saying, okay, sure, whatever, and let them off on their day. I basically fought my termination. I said I reported to HR, and I did say that I think it was a what it's called. Oh, and by the way, guys, I think I'm making a 4th part video for this because I redoing my videos, making sure that I don't want to portray anything wrongfully, and say the truth and better lighting and all that stuff. And you can see gestures, yay! So I thought that I was wrongfully terminated, that I was never given an opportunity or anything like that. They did an investigation. HR came back saying that no, retaliation wasn't done or anything that nature. I did explain to the situation how about that situation about what happened last year with my old telemanager. That's what led to the retaliation. That's what I thought. Because nothing was reported. And they even said that situation wasn't reported because they don't have any record of it. So just kind of shows you that most of these people at this location where I used to work at my first year as a teller is they all knew each other, so they were watching each other's backs, which is kind of sad in a way that, you know, these people are gonna, you know, watch each other's back, but it's gonna be okay to ruin someone else's life, putting them out on the streets. You know, there's these 2 past months. It wasn't easy. It was really, really hard. But I couldn't give up. I wasn't going to give up too. So I'm going to conclude this part, and then I'm going to continue on with my last, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be shorter than the other 3 combined. Hey guys, sorry about that.